What would you paint if the canvas was your own face? Would you show the world your flaws, your pain, your secrets? Or would you hide behind a mask of beauty? Throughout history, artists have turned their gaze on themselves, not just to capture a likeness, but to confess something deeper. Van Gogh painted himself with a severed ear, Frida Kahlo with tears and thorns, Rembrandt with the slow erosion of time carved into every wrinkle. These self-portraits aren't selfies. They're battles, they're love letters, they're therapy sessions with a brush instead of a therapist. Today, we're diving into 10 of the most famous self-portraits in art history. And by the end, you might see the human face, as the most dangerous subject an artist can paint. 10. Parmigianino. Self-portrait in a convex mirror, 1524. Imagine you're 21, ridiculously talented, and you walk into an art contest, but instead of just painting your face like a normal person, you grab a weird, round barber's mirror and say, "Let's see what happens if I make my face look like a goldfish pressed against a bowl." That's a Parmigianino. He painted this masterpiece while looking at his distorted reflection in a convex mirror. Every curve, every bulge, even the weird foreshortened arm. It was partly a flex, "Look at me, I can paint crazy perspective," and partly an artist's way of saying, "Reality is never flat, baby." Question for you: if you painted yourself like this today, would people call you a genius, or just assume your phone camera was on wide angle? 9. Rembrandt, The Prodigal Son in the Tavern, 1637. Rembrandt here is doing what every 20-something Instagrammer does, posting himself partying with his hot wife, except he painted it in oil. He's dressed as the biblical prodigal son, chugging from a massive tankard, with Saskia, his wife, on his lap, smiling like they're the Dutch Kardashians. The critics, oh, they were scandalized. "This is indecent," they cried, and Rembrandt basically said, "It's called art, sweetheart." But here's the question: was this just a playful self-portrait? Or was Rembrandt subtly admitting that life's pleasures always come with a price? Because not long after, debts and tragedy would crush him. Is this painting a warning, or just proof that artists were the original party influencers? 8. Gustave Courbet, Le Désespéré, 1845. The title literally means the desperate man. And boy, does Courbet look like he's seen your browser history. Eyes wide, hands clutching his hair, staring straight at us. This is young Courbet screaming, "I'm alive, I'm an artist, and also I'm broke." The fun part, this was not a random expression. Courbet was obsessed with realism. He wanted raw, unfiltered emotion, even if it made him look completely unhinged. It's both hilarious and kind of sexy in a tortured artist way. Here's the thought: if you painted your truest self at your most stressed out moment, would it look like this? Or like you scrolling TikTok at 3 a.m? 7. Egon Schiele, Self-Portrait with Physalis, 1912. Schiele was like the bad boy of early 20th century Vienna. Scandal after scandal, jail time, nude models that freaked out the public. In this self-portrait, he's got his usual sharp, almost skeletal lines, but he's holding a little orange physalis flower. Delicate, glowing, right next to his face. Was he saying, "Yes, I'm intense and maybe morally questionable, but also I can be gentle"? Or was it just a clever way to contrast life, the flower and death, his gaunt, edgy look? Here's the kicker. Less than 6 years later, he'd be dead at 28. Suddenly, that flower feels more like a warning than a prop. Do you think Schiele was self-aware, or just ahead of his time in thirst trap art? 6. M.C. Escher, Hand with Reflecting Sphere, 1935. It's Escher in a nutshell, literally. He's sitting in a small, tidy room, but you see it all through a shiny glass ball he's holding in his hand. It's trippy because you see everything: the warped space, his quiet, serious face, and the very hand that's holding you in the painting. Was this Escher playing God? Or just showing us how reality is always bent by our own perspective? Fun fact: this isn't just cool to look at. It's also an early masterclass in how to make your brain itch. If you could draw the reflection of your life in a sphere, would it be neat and peaceful like Escher's, or complete chaos with pizza boxes in the background? 5. Frida Kahlo, The Two Fridas, 1939. Frida didn't just paint her face, she split herself in two. Literally. One Frida in a white lace dress, heart exposed, bleeding onto her lap. The other in traditional Mexican dress, heart intact, holding hands with her twin. This was right after her divorce from Diego Rivera. One Frida was the woman he loved. The other was the woman he rejected. Both still connected, both still bleeding for each other. It's heartbreak, identity crisis, and cultural pride all in one frame. But here's the power move. Frida painted her pain so boldly that we're still staring at it 80 years later. If you had to paint your two selves, which would be holding the scissors and which would be holding the heart? 4. David Hockney, Self-Portrait. 1954 young Hockney, still a student, slicking back his hair like he's auditioning for Grease, but instead of a leather jacket, he's got paintbrushes. It's a simple portrait, but you can already see that cheeky twinkle in his eye, the same one he'd later use to reimagine swimming pools and sunlit California. This is Hockney before fame, before iPads, before paparazzi caught him in colorful socks. And maybe that's what makes it interesting. He's painting not who he is, but who he thinks he might become. If you painted yourself at 17, would it be a prophecy? Or just an awkward yearbook photo in oil? 3. Lucian Freud, Reflection with Two Children, Self-Portrait, 1965. Lucian Freud never tried to look nice in his portraits. He painted himself like raw meat, every wrinkle, every tired pore. Here, he's towering over us, looking down, his kids barely visible at the bottom. It's weird, it's unsettling, and that's the point. Was he saying, I'm the giant in my children's lives, or fatherhood is exhausting and I need a nap? The gaze is so intense you feel judged just for existing. If you could freeze yourself in one brutally honest image, no filters, no flattering angles, would you dare? Or would you reach for Facetune? 2. Vincent van Gogh, Self-Portrait with Bandaged Ear, 1889. This is Van Gogh after the infamous ear incident. You know, the one where he sliced it off, possibly after a fight with Gogh. Instead of hiding, he painted himself, coat buttoned tight, hat pulled low, face pale but eyes still burning. Behind him, a Japanese print. Why? Because Van Gogh was obsessed with Japanese art. It was his way of saying beauty still exists, even when you're bleeding. This isn't just a self-portrait. It's a stubborn declaration. I'm still here. I'm still painting. I'm not done yet. Question. If you went through your darkest moment, would you paint it for the world? Or bury it forever? On. Pablo Picasso, Self-Portrait Facing Death, 1972. Picasso was 90. His hand shook. His friends thought he was done painting. Then he grabbed his crayons, yes, crayons, and drew this wild staring skull face with eyes that could drill through granite. The colors, violent. The lines, furious. The expression, somewhere between terror and defiance. It was his last great self-portrait, done just a year before he died. Like he was looking death straight in the eye and saying, "Not today, amigo." And here's the kicker, he knew exactly what he was doing. This wasn't just about death. It was about life burning until the last second. If you had one final self-portrait to make, would it be a whisper or a scream? We've seen portraits that were honest, brutal, and even defiant in the face of death. But here's something you won't find hanging in a museum gift shop. One of these artists, and I'm not saying who, painted a self-portrait so raw, so indecent by the standards of the time, that it was hidden away for decades. It wasn't just a face. It was the artist's entire body, stripped bare, painted with a gaze that said, "This is me, all of me." Critics called it obscene. Galleries refused to hang it. Even today, most people have no idea it exists. But once you see it, you'll never unsee it. So here's my question for you. Which artist do you think dared to paint themselves completely naked? And why would they risk their reputation to do it? Drop your guess in the comments. And if you want me to reveal the painting and the story behind it in my next video, make sure you're subscribed, because this secret is way too wild to stay buried.